Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be rebuilding my computer. I'm replacing an X370 with an X570, and let me tell you, I'm pretty excited to do that. But also, I run into a bit of a problem during this process. If you look at the chapters down below, you'll be able to see that one of them involves a CPU. So stay tuned, check out this video, and let me know what you think. Anyways, without further ado, here we go.
So here we have the initial computer. I've got an X370 Prime A in here, and a 220T Corsair airflow case, which I really like. A lot of people said that they didn't like the way the front fans work. It might be a tad dusty. I mean, I'm going to be dusting it and stuff too. But that's how. Fancy, get a little dust screen in here. Take care of that right away. Should probably wipe it down with something. 1 second. I will say dust filters are the frickin' bomb. They're worried about air pressure. These sucking the screen into the fan, which it doesn't actually do. I mean, it has the potential to do it, but it doesn't normally. So I don't mind. I like this case. So the first step is going to be laying the bad boy down to get easy access to her and starting unplugging each cable. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Then I'm going to unseat my graphics card and put it somewhere very safe. Alright, so I'm going to remove the GPU. Make sure you clip this to a grounding. I'm wearing gloves too, less static electricity. And, you know, because the whole pandemic thing. So I've gone ahead and attached this bad boy to a ground. Let's jump right in here. You just got to use one of these. I tied around my ankle. Can't really see it, but anyways, I've got my little PC screwdriver. I got this cool little kit. It's like 20 bucks. So first, we're going to remove some of our power cables. I'm going to take out this kickstand. These things are amazing. I want to apologize again that it's a little dusty. It is cleaning time, so put all my stuff. I have all my materials to the side, and also going from an X370 to a X570, there is a 8-4 plug. So what you're going to need is another CPU cable running from your modular power supply with just one of these plugged into the other side. You'll see here in a second. I'll show you how to do it. Or get this 2070 Super out of this computer and move on from there. Relatively simple until you lose your screwdriver. Oh, here it is. Just grab yourself a little bit, a little screwdriver. Might be easier if this was a normal screwdriver, but I like to use this kit, so. Make sure you don't lose your screws. It's good to have some in the container. I usually, hey, this will work. Like a top to something. I'm just gonna stick this to the side. My screws in there. And you want to move your screws with your components too, so you don't get them mixed up. Screwdriver down, let's unplug this power. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. This is a 2-in-1 cable. You can run this from one of your power supply things into a card with 2 slots, it's fine. Or you can run 2 separate cables into each one of those. It's pretty easy. Wow, she's dirty in there. I haven't moved this stuff in a while, huh? Alright, so you're gonna reach down, you're gonna pop the release. So by pushing it down, and you're just gonna lightly pull up on that. It'll come right out. I'm gonna clean all these parts. Then I'm gonna put this like this on a non-conductive surface. I'm usually a little overly cautious. This is a cable. It's RGB addressable cable. Right here, it's RGB. Here's some of my SATA cables. I'm just gonna start pulling cables out one by one. Very carefully. Make sure I don't damage anything. I've heard that these USB 3s are hard to get off, so this might rip off the Nope, alright, there we go. Easy peasy. Here's the front UI, USB 2. Here's another one, USB 2. Then I've got my audio card, which I don't really necessarily need. This isn't even plugged into anything, so I'm just going to pull this card out next. I'm going to unscrew here. This is a wireless card. I won't be needing it because the next one I have does come with Wi-Fi. It's this bad boy right here. pretty excited. We'll take a closer look once we get this all taken apart. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip through most of this. The M.2 in here, which you guys probably can't see very well, I'm gonna see the Evo 970, really easy. Just loosen that screw right there, and it just pops open, it just slides right out. Just be really, really, really careful with it. Yeah, so let me skip through all this, and we'll get back, we'll have a blank board, and I'll show you how to take that out of the case. Okay, so now we pretty much just have the blank board here. You got all these wires, which are all moving, got dust, you know. So you're gonna unscrew your anchor points. Unplug these fans. There we go. You're gonna unscrew your anchor points. There's like 1, 2, a bunch of motherboard stands in here. You just reach in there with a screwdriver, just undo those bad boys, and she'll pull right out. Just make sure you get them all. Don't force anything. So I unscrewed the motherboard. So you can actually grab your CPU cooler to kind of help you ease your way out of here. This thing should not come off. If it comes off, you've done something wrong. Actually, you've got one more little wire. Okay, there we go. All right, and then I'm gonna set this on a non-conductive surface. So for the moment, we're done with the case. We're gonna set this aside. Don't forget this with your motherboard. You're not gonna need these. A lot of new motherboards actually have IOs built into them, which I really like, because I hate the IO. We're gonna pull this board over here. This is where we're gonna do the rest of our work. I got the next board right here. I got my GPU screws. I've got my bits, my stand, my extra cable for my new motherboard. You're gonna need some thermal paste because you're gonna have to reapply it for that. Okay, here we go. And not knock over my $600 camera. Excellent. Motherboard! Woo! Motherboard! Let's get this unclipped, shall we? Here we go, there's a latch. You just, so I used a screw-on cooler board. You just undo the tension latch here, and this bad boy will come right off. I'm gonna clean all this. So I'm assuming that it comes off at an angle because mine feels like it's just freaking plastered on there. I don't want to crack my CPU head. Oh boy, that ripped it right out of the slot. That's not good. Let me be very gentle. Oh no. Well, that's troublesome. This seems to be stuck to my cooler. Uh-oh. That's never happened to me before, ladies and gentlemen. Ever. I gotta figure out how to get that off without breaking my CPU, because I would be very sad. So I guess the only choice I got is to just gently try to get this bad boy off here. It's on there really good. See if I can like lightly pry it without hurting anything. So we had a pretty scary moment for a second. I went to take the cooler off and actually pulled the CPU out of the M4 socket, but as you can see, all the pins look just fine. None of them are bent.
I had no idea how wrong I really was. There is actually 4 bent pins right there.
The heatsink cover is still on just fine. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up this processor a little bit, and I'm gonna set it somewhere really safe. I'm gonna clean off this cooler. We're gonna be using this. I use the stock thermal paste, and it turned into like a glue. So hopefully I didn't damage my CPU, because I will cry. And yeah, let's hope for the best, huh guys? Here we go, the X570. We're gonna do a quick inspection and peel off all the plastic. Let's see here, we've got, everything seems to be in order and nothing seems loose. Check the back real quick, make sure there's nothing broken off. Oh, alright, let's start. Always start by building outside your computer. I'll throw the CPU in here real quick. Safest place for it to be is in my motherboard. Hooking up. Ryzen's really cool. The triangle goes to the triangle. You see this little triangle on the bottom. That's going to be the right-hand corner. You see a triangle here. It lines up just like that. You just hover it over very, very carefully. Drop her in. None of my pins are bent. Oh no.
Oh no, indeed.
Are my pins bent? Son of... Oh no. Okay, we do have a problem. Some of my CPU pins are bent. I am going to do my best to fix it, because if I can't, well, that means I need a new CPU. So I'm gonna be extra, extra, extra careful and see if this works. As you guys can see, it's locked in. I was able to unbend 4 of the CPU pins just enough to fit in there without breaking them. So I'm pretty sure this will work. We're gonna see. It'd be pretty awesome if it does. If it doesn't, it looks like I'm buying a new CPU. I was trying to wait to 5,000, but I may not be able to. So let's see what happens. Taking off any plastic boys. Ooh, I was stressing beans right there. Some super stressed beans, let me tell you. And I mean, if it doesn't work, I know what's wrong, so it's not a huge deal. It just sucks and it's gonna cost money if it's not gonna work. All right, so next, my favorite part is applying the thermal paste. So you get your MX4 thermal compound. I like to do the 5-dot method, so I wanna make sure that you take the cap off, take this little, you put a tiny little dot. I'm gonna start in the center. So I get a little dot there, 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 and there. Should be more than enough thermal paste. You want to save this, put your cap back on. This stuff is good for a really long time. So, send it back right back in the package. Don't pull this out though, you'll add air to the solution. You don't want to do that. Not my best thermal paste job, but it will do. Okay, so make sure you put this on the right way. I do retention towards the back. This boy towards the back. So we're just gonna get her on here real quick. The hook. All right, she's hooked on. So just simply do this. Get that retention. Lock her down. This wire. Nope, lock her down, nice and tight. I'm gonna check the edges, make sure nothing leaked over. Everything looks real secure and flat. You should be able to do this. You want to be able to hold your entire thing with your CPU cooler, so that's definitely good. Let's start plugging in some stuff. I'm also gonna start with my M.2 first, and we're gonna turn this whole thing. There's a heat shield right here. I have to take off the entire fan IO shield. That's not loose screws. This boy comes right off, cool. Aha! Hidden screw! That's why you don't force anything. That would have just broke my motherboard right there. Leave my screws in there. Should be a thermal pad on the end of this. Let's see, let's check. Yep, you peel that boy, and you stick her in on the other one. So let's install the M.2. Ugh. I am so destructive right now. There we go. All right, M.2, come back. Make sure that's seated all the way. I've put one of these in here. Wasn't seated all the way. Thoroughly regretted it. Alright, time to screw it in finally. Now that I've put the correct piece where it needs to be. Heat shield time! See this little sticker? Peel that boy off. Comes a thermal pad, so you don't overheat. Cool. It's the first time I've had cooling for my M.2, which is probably something I should have had a long time ago. We're gonna put this shield back on now. At least the fan's easy to get to. I mean, if it ever breaks, I can go in there and fix it. M.2's installed. Wonk. This boy goes right here. Plug our CPU fan in. Let's find some RGB. Hey, RGB! It's the I/O pump, but this should work for RGB as well. There we go. Let's go ahead and install the RAM too, just to make this easy on ourselves. RAM is really, really easy to install. First, you're gonna go to the RAM slots. You want to go this one and this one. You know what I mean? This one and this one. Okay. It's Ancient Secrets. Where aren't you snapping in? Ah, there we go. Hear that? Click. You want it to do that. DDR4. I got some. This is 3200 speed, 32 gigabytes, so it's 216 sticks. Make sure that's in there. Everything's in there. No dead RAM. Okay, CPU, M.2, RAM, all installed. So now I have to really work with the case. I have a lot of wiring to do, so I'm gonna do that off camera and show you how to plug everything in. Okay, so I've cleaned it up a little bit, way less dusty than it was. Let's drop our motherboard in there and get her all screwed in. Before, make sure I have 6 motherboard stands. I'll just remember if I would take this out, I have to take out the fan shield on the motherboard. Okay. Grab the CPU cooler, stick her in real gently around them wires. Grab the CPU boys, drop her in very gently. There's another CPU boy back here in there. Yep. Always get me with the second CPU boy. Alright, get that I/O lined up. Got my screws lined up. Excellent. Excellent. See? Standoff right there. All these boys. Perfect. Perfecto. I/O. Perfecto. Everything. Let's get the shield back on. Oh, wait. Let's not get the shield back on. Let's get the standoff screwed back in. And also remember where I put them. Good news! They were actually right beside me. I just didn't realize it. So let's get these in there. I'm going to start off with this one in here because that's going to be the most tricky, just like I demonstrated. Yay, magnetic tools. Gentle. There we go. Perfecto. Alright, boop. This one. I'm gonna start with the Ceners, and I'm gonna work my way up. Cram all this stuff in the shroud protector. Get all this bull crap off of this. Okay, motherboard. Like a big old snake boy. Make sure you plug that in. Cool. That's in all the way. Okay. And I'll just start plugging in wires left and right. Plenty of space to reach the I/O for it to reach. What is this? Get in there. Get in there. Get in there. Okay, so I replaced the elbow with a straight. So let's get this plugged in now. Stick that back up in the back again. I'm just gonna plug that in there. Normally I would try to plug it in under, but there's not enough space. It's already so cramped in here that I don't want to push my luck any further. This should have gone through here. That's alright. Let's just finish plugging in everything. GPU is going to be installed very soon. I want to get my I/O hooked up first. This is another fan. So fan is going to go in here. There's 3 fan plugs right here. So I'm going to start with the outside one and work my way in. As soon as I make sure I get the prongs on right. Never force. Never force. This is a 3-prong. There we go. 1 fan. It's another fan. I'm going to plug it up over by the CPU because there's 3 addressable fan headers here too. Next to an RGB boy. That's 2 fans. Alright. 2. And now we're gonna find this. Apparently I can just do this. Let's get our CPU plugged in too, because that's obviously won't work without that. I might struggle a tad with this one. I have succeeded. Hooray! Tuck this other cable in here like it didn't exist. Yeah, goodbye. So we got our CPU plugged in. We've got our CPU fan plugged in. We've got our RGB for fan plugged in. We've got the motherboard plugged in. We've got an M.2. We've got 2 SATA port drives plugged in. The only thing that I see that we have left is hooking up the GPU and setting up the I/O. So I'm gonna figure out how to do this I/O correctly, and I'll get back and I'll explain it. The I/O is that little tiny panel down there. So fun. So I just wanted to show you guys something. This is why you read the manuals. So and it shows me which I/O part goes where on this page, as you can see. I've got PLED. In this case, only has PLED positive and negative, which are these 2 boys right here. And then I've got my power switch and my reset switch. In the manual, it shows that you have that single pin right there over in this corner. You can't really see it. But reset goes on the bottom horizontally, power goes on top horizontally, and then PLED goes on top, positive, and then negative. So we're gonna plug that in according to what they have just told us. So I'm gonna get my positive PLED here, and I'm gonna stick it on that pin. And I'm gonna do each part as so. There you go, excellent. Last one to go in. Make sure I plugged in my I/O correctly. Referring to the manual. So, PLED, positive, negative. PLED, positive, negative, top pin on the I/Os on the far left side, correct. Okay, excellent. Power, top button. Yep, power next to over, directly over, and reset, directly over next to that. Excellent. We are set on that. It's time to install that GPU. Let's drop this bad boy in here. Make sure nothing is interfering. Doesn't look like it's gonna interfere with anything. Slide in this 2070 Super. All right, that clipped in there pretty easily. So I'm gonna grab my screws from earlier because I remember we set them aside. I have 3 screws. Oh, it's because I took out another piece here. Alright, so let's screw this in. See if I can find something to cover that hole. Not a huge deal. It'll keep any random critters that might come around the house from getting inside though. I mean, if they really want in here, they're gonna crawl through a hole anyways. Let's hope that never happens. Get this screwed on. Excellent. So what I like to do next is, these clips are reverse. Keep that in mind. Some of these GPUs like to hide the little releases. So this actually does go in this way. I have been running it this way for a long time, and it works just fine. I don't overclock. I don't see a point in it. Honestly, it's cool and all, but I don't overclock. I try to make my parts last as long as possible so I can pass them down to somebody else when I'm done using them, or use them until they fry themselves. But because I started getting into YouTube and editing, I now need better equipment. So this is going to be the next thing we put in there. Just do another check. Everything's plugged in. RGB, CPU fan, other back fan, 2 front fan, 3 front fan. So I got 3, so 2 fans here, 2 fans here. IO's plugged in correctly. Audio cable, USB 2, USB 3 for the front panel. I think everything's set, actually. Well, the last thing I have to put in there is this, and it'd be nice if I could find another bracket here. So let me look for one of those, and we'll get right back to you guys. Okay, so I didn't find one of these protective boys. I'll have to order one, or when I find it, I'll put it in. Not a huge deal, honestly. Let's just make sure my airflow is good here. Not congested, my wires aren't hitting my GPU fan, so I'm gonna tuck some more wires into the void that is my shroud. See if I can tuck these guys into one another. Alright. Usually just standing up, but I'll do it this way just for you guys. Guys, these people are gonna be yelling at me for dust. String it through there, put it on the side. Bring up the stand here, level it out. So I don't want GPU sag, tighten it up. There you go, your stand's installed. Simple as that. Not a big deal. Nothing's touching funny. That was loose. Sure, get that all the way up. Make sure it doesn't touch your fan. I've actually put one of these in a 2080 Super and it was holding up one of the fans. Not a good time. It didn't break it. It's fine. And like hardware nowadays is super durable compared to what it used to be. So we stand her up. We got her all hooked up. Everything looks solid. Everything's plugged in. All fans are plugged in. CPU plugged in. CPU cooler plugged in. I think we're ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. So the next part is going to be booting her up, see if she works. Alright. So here we have the moment of truth. Is my CPU fried? Did I fix the pins? Is this computer gonna boot? I hope the heck so. So, here's to hopefully saving $300. The first boot always takes longest, so don't freak out. It's gonna take a minute. So, it's on. Everything's plugged in. Flip the power, see if it gets to the board. Power to the board. Alright. Wish us luck. It's gonna go through a boot cycle. Lights flashing. Oh, displayed. Alright, here we go. CPU not toast. Thank freaking God. Alright. Says getting devices ready, so it means like this is the initial boot up for the shabby camera work, my friends. But I don't have no filament, it's just me. All me. Republic Gamers getting device ready. Zoom in on this bad boy. And we'll walk through the steps. I'll show you how to check everything. I may have to reinstall Windows. We'll see here in a second. Hopefully not. I mean, it's not a big deal. I have a USB for this, so. We're going to overclock said memory. Real simple. Let's mic out of the way for you. So you're going to use the arrow keys, right? We're going to go to CPU. We need to change the DRAM memory from 2400 to 32. So memory frequency, we're going to go to 3200 megahertz. Auto everything else, right? Just double checking everything. Okay, yeah, that should work. We'll see. Yep, that one has a boot. Has a Windows boot on it. Excellent, excellent. Love it. Detects my hard drives. Alright. Save and reset. So this should overclock our memory to the factory set speeds. We'll see if it's stable or not with this motherboard. It should be. I mean, this is a nice motherboard, so shouldn't have any issues. So we're going to let her do a full boot all the way to the desktop. So I'm back, trying to reactivate Windows, because I switched out my motherboard. I still have my CD key. I bought my copy of Windows.
It says unable to activate, come back later, which is super obnoxious because this should not be an issue. I own Windows. Don't make me buy a new copy of your freaking software every time I get a motherboard. Okay, so good news. I used the toll-free number, called Windows, went through an automated process, had them send me a text, and I was able to activate Windows through a series of security processes through Microsoft Windows. All that matters is that I have Windows 10 now, so excellent. Now that's done. Temperature's still good. I'm running at 131 degrees Fahrenheit on my processors. Not bad. Max 163, really cold. And currently 96 degrees Fahrenheit on my 2070 Super. So without further ado, let's pop open a game. Let's do one that has more intensive graphics. So I'd say Monster Hunter Worlds cranked all the way up should do the trick. So I'll make sure core temp stays up at least. So my GPU's fine. Lag test. Okay, excellent. That should be fine. I'm starting a game. Okay, let's see if I get any camera lag in this part or not. And if that's the case, I'm gonna need a new capture card, which I paid $12 for the ones I have. Not a huge deal. I am pooped, I'll tell you that. I'm tired. I've been working on this only for about 4 or 5 hours, actually. What's that? I don't want to hunt the monkey right now. That's not what I want to hunt. I need to hunt something easier so I can really test this. I'm just going to go ahead and shoot him in the head. Make him mad. I'm going to die. Yeah, no lag. I'll know if there's camera lag here in a second. Excellent. Alright. Time to GTFO. Really? I did not resupply. I regret all my decisions. I'm dead! Excellent. I have to say this has been a pretty big success. I'm glad you guys watched the video. I hope this really helped. If you have any questions, please make a comment down below and I will do my best to answer them for you and assist you in any issues you may come across when you're working with the X570. Anyways, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!